Today on Fishing with Gussy, we venture through the bush to get to a secret stash of crappies.
Fishing with Gussy is proudly sponsored by and uses Shimano rods and reels. Visit Shimano.ca for all the specs.
All right, folks, if you watch Fishing with Gussy, you know that we love to spend a lot of time on the ice, and across Sunset Country, we got some of the best ice fishing opportunities you're gonna find anywhere. So I got my good buddy, Jamie Bruce, with me today, and we fish together a lot. He's a good buddy, and he spends more time on the ice than anybody I know. He's got a hot crappie lake that we're fishing here today. I've never even been in here before. He says there's some big ones, so
yeah, we're gonna have to work for him though.
All right, well, let's drill some holes. It's a small lake, but it's a little sort of back lake. He does a lot of research on using Google Earth and just tries a lot of lakes, and sometimes you strike out, but when you find the good ones, it pays off. So
Absolutely.
All right, let's start drilling. Jamie's drilling right now. This is how we like to approach these lakes, looking for crappies. It's all about finding the fish, and they'll be in big schools, big groups out in the basins of these lakes. So we're just going to drill a grid pattern here, try and find them. And once we find the fish, then we can, start to cluster the holes a little bit more. But I'm just using a little spoon, little Northland eyedropper. That's a hot little crappie bait for me. And it gets down to the bottom fairly quick, and so I'm gonna go grab my flasher, start going behind Jamie and checking all these holes looking for fish. The deal, when you're looking for these crappies, generally most of the lakes across northwestern Ontario, you're gonna be catching them in 25 to 35 feet of water during the winter. This particular lake is small and it's fairly shallow. We're in 19, 20 feet of water, and Jamie said this is the deepest water in this lake. So it's a little bit shallower. It's kind of nice because it's a lot easier to release these fish if we really get into them. But a lot of the time when we'll drill the holes, go with the flasher immediately and just start looking for fish. And generally they're going to be 2, 3, 5, even 10 feet up off the bottom. They'll be suspended, and that's a normal situation. This lake, because it's so shallow, he found most of the fish were on the bottom. So we actually are going to give each hole a few minutes, jig them, and just see if we mark any fish. I marked one here right when I dropped down immediately, and looks like I've had a couple little perch kind of hanging around. But give every hole a minute or two. I'm going to pick up now and go to the next one.
Yeah! Finally.
Gee, you think my dad was a with? Start hearing the yeah.
Hey, that's not a bad one.
Wow. You weren't kidding, buddy.
How's that for a start? That thing is all of 14 3/4.
That's a King Kong crappie, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Well, you weren't kidding when you said big lakes or big fish in this little lake. That's awesome.
Yep, they got great forage in here. There's not a whole ton of them, but they grow jumbos like that.
All right, well, get that guy back and tell people about what it takes to catch fish like that. That's an 8-inch hole. That fish just filled up an 8-inch hole. That's a big crappie. That's a trophy. So just tell people about what, not every lake produces fish like that, and there's some reasons why.
Yeah, well, I mean, probably the biggest thing is pressure. crappies can't hold up to a whole ton of fishing pressure. I'm sure anyone who crappie fishes in the area knows that, like, I'm sure they have a favorite spot and they go there and it's no problem to catch some 10 and 12-inch fish, but you're not going to get anything really bigger than that. So what we do to catch big ones is get out and we're way back where there's no reason for anyone to come through here. I doubt that anyone's fished this lake before, and there's no pressure. They got all the time in the world to get big. Another thing for finding these big ones is you got to know the lake. Some lakes, they may not have pressure and may not have big ones. Lakes with good forage, lots of little mud bugs and little perch to eat are going to put out bigger fish than lakes with minimal forage. So you got to get out there and get where no one else is and put the smack on them.
And sometimes you're going to strike out too, but that's part of the
More
deal.
More times than not, you're going to strike out.
Yeah, if you want to catch them, catch big ones, and really hit the jackpot on crappies, you got to put in the time.
Here we go. Let me get bit again here. Little guy. Sure like that doodle bug.
Coming up, hot tips for a successful trip. Hey, get over here. I got a hot tip for you. Shimano has redesigned the Cronart, Curado, and Sitka baitcast reels, the Sustain and Stratic spinning reels, as well as the crucial Compre Claris and Convergence line of rods for 2012. Get down to your local dealer and check it out. Competitive anglers, watch for the Shimano Platinum Angler Program. They've got some great rewards for anglers that use Shimano products in tournaments in 2012 as well.
There's no place like this.
Why should you choose Rema Roofing? Maybe because they guarantee a free estimate within 48 hours of the initial call. Or because they're quality BP certified installers with a lifetime warranty on materials. You choose them because they have a 10-year workmanship guarantee with special rates for contractors and have been family owned and operated since 1988. They honor their scheduled commitments. But best of all, Rema Roofing does it right the first time.
Countryside Manor Bed and Breakfast. It's a place to call your own. With a breathtaking view overlooking beautiful northwestern Ontario, you'll find all the peace, quiet, and comfort desired for a wonderful stay. The Countryside Manor Bed and Breakfast offers all your favorite conveniences and with a delicious breakfast that can't be beat. You'll want to come back again soon. Call today to make your reservations or visit our website to find out more. Countryside Manor Bed and Breakfast. Stay with us. You deserve the best.
Looking for fishing tackle and friendly one-on-one service like nowhere else? You'll find it at Bobby's Corner and Sport Shop, where all the big fish like to play. Check out the big catches coming out of Bobby's Sport Shop. Wall to wall, Bobby's is packed with thousands of muskie, bass, and other baits and lures, guaranteed to give you the cutting-edge advantage. Bobby's Corner and Sport Shop, Highway 17, Vermilion Bay. Why would you go anywhere else?
You know, to find these lakes, these little back lakes that have no one around and lots of nice crappies, you really got to put in the time. There's a couple tools that are going to make you more efficient at finding them. Google Earth is an awesome one. You can check out creeks and lakes. I mean, usually if there's crappies in one lake, then they'll be in another lake pretty close to it. M&R Fish Online is a website that I think just came out last year, and they've got some stocking charts. They definitely don't have all the lakes around, but they got enough to give you a start. think they probably have 15 lakes listed in the Kenora area with crappies in them, and you're not going to catch them every day when you're trying to find new lakes. I mean, some lakes have them and some lakes don't, but you really don't know unless you go. But when you do find them, it's like finding a big pot of gold after a lot of drilling.
There we go. Yeah, you just got to keep moving around. I fished about 5 or 6 holes, hadn't caught one yet. Dropped down here and my bait, that's a little one, but my bait hadn't even made it to the bottom yet. And he started racing up for it, so. Keep looking. The electronics are so key with ice fishing, and especially with crappies, because if they're there, it'll show them to you, and they don't move around a whole lot. It's not the kind of thing like walleyes where you can, you know, set up on a piece of structure and the fish are kind of going to come to you. They're just sort of sitting down there, and they move around a little bit, but not a whole lot. So you got to be mobile, find the fish, and that's how you're really going to catch a bunch of them.
Decent one. Choked that bait. I'll kind of give you a little tip for releasing these things too. If you just put them back with their mouths wide open, they're going to take on all that water, and most of the time they won't swim. If you just give their mouths a little close and then just tuck them back, we're only in 17 feet and he's gone. That thing will live to get a little bit bigger.
Part of the reason that crappie fishing is so fun is that when you get into them, you can get into big numbers of fish, and it's fun. You know, great way to introduce kids to ice fishing is, you know, if you really are onto them, because you're going to catch a bunch. The place where I first got into it was fishing in the Nestor Falls area around the south end of Lake of the Woods, and that's been a real popular spot for a lot of years. And you can go there and catch a lot of fish generally. They also have fish house rentals there. People actually have shacks set up that you can rent, and they're on good spots, and you can go catch a bunch of them. No, it's a kind of thing where they're not a real big fish, but they're very good to eat, and they're a challenge sometimes too. They're sometimes really easy to catch, and sometimes they're a challenge. While I'm talking right now, I've got one looking at my bait, and it will not bite. I'm using a spoon right now, and when they're in an active mood, I mean, you can drop it down and they're going to whack it. But I've got some little micro soft plastics rigged up back at my sleigh, and I should go grab one of those, just because I think it's a pretty good fish, but he's just playing the looking game and denying me right now. But I'm probably just going to move to another hole and keep looking for active fish that want to bite. But crappies are, you know, like I say, they're fun and good to eat, but it's, you know, keep enough to have a feed, have dinner, but don't keep a bucket full of them, because it does not take long, especially in these small lakes, to really hurt the population. What happens is you get, you know, 90% of the population is in 5% of the area that they live in. So what I mean by that, in the winter, fall and winter, these fish really congregate in specific areas, and they all sort of winter together. So you've got a big population of fish all in one place, and if you overfish them and keep too many, you're going to hurt that population for a lot of years, and it takes a long time for them to come back. They grow pretty quick, but not as quick as people think, and I've seen it on a lot of lakes where it was really, really good fishing, and it's not anymore. So just, you know, keep enough to have a feed. They're, like I say, they're awesome to eat. They're really easy to clean, just like a walleye, and cook them the same as a walleye, and you'll really like them. More great crappie action coming up next. Power Pro Super Slick 8 is smooth as silk and casts like a bullet. Enhanced body technology makes it thinner, stronger, smoother, and quieter. Use brown in the wood, green in the weeds, and yellow for high-vis fishing situations. Power Pro Super Slick, unleash the power with none of the noise.
Everything you'll need to keep your engine running this winter can be found right here at Devil's Gap Marina. They're full service and open all year round, so you can relax in the car and keep warm. Or not. All of those convenience store items with none of those convenience store prices. From snack foods to fishing lures, service with a smile, and the most affordable gas on the lake. Devil's Gap Marina, located at the end of Matheson Bay Road on beautiful Lake of the Woods.
Lund boats have been built for anglers by anglers since 1948, so they know what they're doing. I rely on them for all of my fishing, whether I'm in a tournament, guiding, or just going out for fun with my buddies. They have the best warranty in the business. You owe it to yourself to go check them out. Head down to your nearest Lund dealer. They'll be able to look after you. Good fishing.
Goodyear, chosen to get through tough winters. And the tire dealers you choose for great service trust Goodyear too. Their experience with winter tire care inspires the expert service they pass on to you. Goodyear, more driven.
The time to take to the water is now. Wood Lake Marine will help you hit the lake in style, as their high-quality marine products are sure to please. Let their award-winning staff tour you around their showroom of top-of-the-line new and used boats and other recreational products that are sure to exceed your expectations, but not your budget. Wood Lake Marine, delivering the ultimate boating experience. Call or click today.
Cool thing that I've got, Northland came out with a little bait wallet this year for panfish baits. Comes with a little set of pliers, and it's kind of cool. It's just a little deal that opens up, and you can put, it's just a foam piece in there, and you can put all your little jigs into it. Keep it in your pocket. So I came out today, I don't have any tackle boxes or anything with me. Everything I need is right here. Got some little tubes. I've got another one with some spoons in it, and so this is all just my little soft plastics, little bugs and stuff, and the jigs to go with them. So just a handy little deal. You could put walleye jigs or whatever, trout baits in here too, but it's really designed for panfish baits because it's sort of small and it fits in your pocket nicely. So just a handy little deal, inexpensive, and you know, it fits right here, right in my pocket, and travel light. And when you're drilling lots of holes looking for fish, light is a good thing.
Starting to show up there. See if we can get his attention here. You always want to be nice and high above them. And as they come up, just kind of pull it away from them a little bit more, and you got them. Little guy. Come here, Gertie. Not a big one.
There we go. This feels like another decent one. Not one of those big giants Jamie is catching. But there's quite a few of them that size too, so that's obviously a strong year class, probably a 4 or 5 year old fish. But it's nice, like we sort of mentioned it earlier, catching them in the shallower water, 20-foot stuff. Oh, there's another one down there. because you can let them go. You fish them in some lakes where you're catching them in 30 feet or 40 feet. It's actually pretty hard to let these fish go. So this is not a problem at all in this 20-foot stuff. So here we go. I'm watching my bait go back down. Okay, so I stopped at about 4 or 5 feet above the fish, and now I'm just going to slowly drop down to him. He sees it. Here he comes. Got him. Tell me electronics and using a flasher like this isn't deadly for ice fishing. It will help you catch more fish, and that's, you know, not a big crappie, but one thing about crappie fishing is that it's, you know, we're going to catch some more big ones today, but it is all about getting numbers and getting action, and that's what we're doing. So, cool. And then the other thing too, we're not using any meat. It's all an artificial deal. And I already talked about my little spoon, but I've got just a couple little plastic little maggot deals on there you can see, and that just gives it a little bit of scent. And you could use a little piece of a minnow or something. They like that little bit of scent, a little bit of color. We like using spoons because they get down to the bottom quick. You can kind of call fish into you a little bit better, but the little scented plastics are really good. Little puppet minnow, jigging wrap style baits are good. Anything kind of small, these things like to eat, so you can catch them on a lot of different baits, but that's what we're using today right there. A lot of times when I'm guiding and taking people out crappie fishing, they always want to drop their bait to the same level that the fish are at. There we go. But you'll catch a lot more of them if you just keep that bait sort of up above the fish. Little guy. Good deal. They're all fun to catch. Stick around for more beauties in Sunset Country. Hey, get over here. I got a hot tip for you. Shimano has redesigned the Cronart, Curado, and Sidecar baitcast reels, the Sustain and Stratix spinning reels, as well as the crucial Compre Claris and Convergence line of rods for 2012. Get down to your local dealer and check it out. Competitive anglers, watch for the Shimano Platinum Angler Program. They've got some great rewards for anglers that use Shimano products in tournaments in 2012 as well.
Napa Auto Pro keeps cars and sometimes their drivers young a long time.
Lund boats have been built for anglers by anglers since 1948, so they know what they're doing. I rely on them for all of my fishing, whether I'm in a tournament, guiding, or just going out for fun with my buddies. They have the best warranty in the business. You owe it to yourself to go check them out. Head down to your nearest Lund dealer. They'll be able to look after you. Good fishing.
Why should you choose Rema Roofing? Maybe because they guarantee a free estimate within 48 hours of the initial call, or because they're quality BP certified installers with a lifetime warranty on materials. You choose them because they have a 10-year workmanship guarantee with special rates for contractors and have been family owned and operated since 1988. They honor their scheduled commitments, but best of all, Rema Roofing does it right the first time.
Hi, I'm Peggy Gustafson and I'm Jeff's mom, and we have spent a lot of time fishing with Jeff, or well, my boys, my husband Jim and Benny, have spent a lot of time fishing with Jeff. They spent a lot of time out at camp on Echo Bay having rock bass tournaments, going from dock to all our neighbors. And we had to watch a lot of fishing shows. Jeff would tape them all winter, and all summer long we would spend our evenings watching shows about Bob Cobb and other fishermen in the United States. And Jeff loved fishing from the time he was just a really small little boy. In high school, he used to come home at lunch hour and stand on the picnic table with his buddy Jess Swenson and cast off the picnic table, practicing their technique. And when he was 16 and Jess was 17, they did pretty well, had a pretty good pre-season, pre-fish during the tournament for that year, and thought that they probably were going to do all right. And as it turned out, they came in second to a pretty big team. Nobody even cared or knew who came first that year. I think it might have been, was it Leisman? And yeah, it was pretty awesome. Jeff and Jess came in second, and we were all standing at the boat jumping and yelling, and it was like they won the Stanley Cup.
My combo today that I'm using is starting to get a little iced up. It's not super cold out, but it's cool. But just a Fraybill little Bro Series rod. It's a 32-inch quick tip, they call it, and you've seen me use these for the brook trout, crappies, and everything before. Really like these rods. They're soft tips, so you can see the bites, but they got lots of backbone in here. The reel is a Shimano Sienna, and it's really an inexpensive reel, but it's awesome for ice fishing. Way better than the reels that you buy, you know, if you get these rods, the ice rods in these combos, you're not going to get a real good reel. So this is a fairly inexpensive reel, but when you're handling this light line, like I'm using 4-pound fluorocarbon right now, you want a good reel to be able to handle that line. If you don't have a very good reel, it's going to get twisted, and you're going to have knots and line issues all the time. So this little reel is a honey, and I've sure been happy. This is my first time fishing with this particular one today, and it's been really nice. It's got anti-reverse, really smooth, and that'll save you a lot of aggravation, because dealing with this light line, like I say, it'll get twisted up on you. There we go. That's a big one. That's one of the ones you brought me in here for, I think, James. Whoa. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That is a honey.
Sweet. That's yeah, that's what we came looking for. That's a jumbo crappie. I don't care where you are, anywhere in North America, that's a big fish, and that's why we came in here. So that's sweet. What a beautiful, the sun's just starting to set. It's going to be down here in about 5 minutes, so we'll probably get that fish back and start wrapping things up. But hope you enjoyed today's little crappie expedition that Jamie and I did, and hopefully you learned a few things. It's all about finding fish, finding new lakes, putting in the time, and you're going to strike out sometimes, but when you find them, this is the mother lode right here. So we'll get this guy back.
Fishing with Gussy proudly uses Power Pro Super Slick Line. All of the power with none of the noise.